Hey guys, back after a very, 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 very long hiatus. I'm going to be doing a video review on this Sony CFD-S70 boombox that can play either CDs, the radio, or as well as a cassette, which is kind of an interesting thing to see in 2017, even though this is, however, a 2016 model. But there's not too much of a difference there anyway. I got this thing from Walmart for about $60 when all is said and done, and I'm walking out the door, which is, I'd say, a pretty good price. I would say if you're going for sound quality, it's a little because let's face it, it's a boombox. These things are not very notorious for having the highest of fidelity, but I think it's a good one if you're on a work job or a work site where you're not really trying to get Bose quality and you're just trying to hear over the sound of a buzzsaw. In addition to that, this actually has a volume level that goes all the way up to 31, which I think is pretty crazy. So I don't know why they don't just cut it off at 30 or possibly even just, I don't know, just like a round number. I don't know why they chose 31 specifically. That's kind of strange. But it goes to 31. I guess it's just so it can be one over, just like Spinal Tap. Interesting enough, it's another Spinal Tap reference. When I actually first got this thing and I powered it on, the volume was immediately automatically set to 11. So I find that kind of funny. I can't even talk today. Anyway, it has a sleep function. If you were to use this at night, you can have it set to turn off after 90 minutes, after 60 or 30 or 15 minutes, which I think is kind of cool. I've actually used this already, that function already. Speaking of night, this LCD screen you see right here is not backlit, so if you're in the dark, you're not going to see it. I don't know, it actually almost looked backlit there, but trust me, it's not. So you're not going to be able to see this thing in the dark unless it's dimly lit or you've got, like a flashlight or something like that. It comes with the ability to set presets. You can set to 3 presets on the initial section, but I believe you also can hold the display button and it'll give you another 6 or 11 presets, so you can, put in there, which I think is kind of cool. That's what that folder is supposed to be for, I believe. There's a little folder icon on the actual tuning dial. Of course, this is a 2016 radio, so it doesn't have the analog condenser tuner. It just uses the standard, the now standard digital tuner, which is pretty nice. Picks up AM stations all right, picks up FM stations fantastic, and there's really not much more I can say about the tuner. When it comes to the doors on these things, I would much prefer to see them use like a button style, where you just press in a button and this thing will slowly rise open like that. This is a little energetic for my taste, because it's either, it flies open and then it slams closed. Nothing too wrong with that, but I can see these little rubber bumpers down there, which are actually not rubber, they're actually foam. I can see this eventually just, rotting out, and then this thing just absolutely slamming with a loud plastic clunk like that. And as well as the cassette well door. That opens quite energetic as well. There's nothing like this, like an old tape deck where it opens nice and slow. But I guess it really doesn't matter, because when it comes to the thing, it's really sound quality you're focused on, not exactly how fast the doors open. And I will say, this thing sounds like I don't like the sound. You can see it's got a mega bass. It's got mega bass on right now, and it's got a mega bass button sitting over here. It basically sounds tinny as hell if you don't have the mega bass button on. So it's basically not even an option. It's on all the time, unless you are so inclined to really see how much of a difference it makes. You can turn it off, and after you find out that it sounds like crap, you turn it back on. But when it comes to using this thing externally, this is where I think it really shines. Because rather than using the built-in speakers, which are just really tinny and sound like crap, you can actually put in an audio source. If you were so inclined, you could basically turn this into an external speaker for, like, say, your phone or something. Or you can also plug in headphones, which is what the main thing I was thinking this would be useful for is. You can just basically plug in some headphones or plug in like an external speaker or even into a stereo and make it sound 10 times better. Because the actual cassette mechanism in here actually sounds pretty damn good. It's just the its main weak point is the speakers that are built into it. But I'm potentially going to eventually get the Neo balanced series from Dayton Audio, the full range aluminum drivers. Now these are, I believe, 3-inch. I think these are 3-inch speakers. I'm just going to get the 3-inch drivers and basically put those in there instead. They're all rubber surrounds, aluminum cones, neodymium magnet motor structures, and everything's pretty good. Or neodymium stators, basically. So it'll sound pretty damn good with those versus these really tinny and crappy speakers. But I really can't say much more past that. So let's go ahead and actually listen to something. I'm going to have to probably talk over this because I know I'll get copyright claims from it. But there's a Red Hot Chili Peppers cassette that I happen to have, which actually has Digitalog on it because it's from the 90s. But this I must mention this. This thing explicitly says in the manual not to play chrome, ferrochrome, or metal tapes. It's only good for Type 1 ferric tapes. But it'll play them just fine. You'll have to turn up the volume a little bit more. For example, on metal tapes, I don't really see that being a problem. The only thing I could see it possibly being is when you're trying to record onto a metal tape, because this thing does not have the tape adjustment to do that. It'll sound really quiet. But let's go ahead and put this in there. What size is this actually on? Okay. Also, one thing that's kind of a pet peeve of mine: there's no window, so you can't see how much tape you have left. And also, when you're rewinding this thing, this doesn't have the feature where it'll actually auto stop when you're rewinding. It's not full auto stop. It'll auto stop when you're playing it. However, when you try to rewind it, it'll just sit there. I'm at the end of the tape right now, and it doesn't do anything. So when you're playing the tape and you're forward, or you're in the middle of a track and you want to replay a track you're just on, you have to click rewind and then hold, have your finger just above the stop button, and then basically you'll feel it when it hits the end of the tape. You'll feel it do like a little click. It's at the end, and then you have to turn it off so you don't fry the spindle clutches in this. But let's see what it sounds like. Make sure the volume is up to a decent amount so you actually can hear it, and we'll see. It'll sound tinny at first. That's actually just the song. So in the song, it's actually supposed to sound like that. That's just part of the song, and then the bass will come in right here, the bass guitar. So you can see it doesn't sound too bad, really. The only problem is that the mega bass is basically on all the time. Basically in order to compensate for the fact that these speakers are just they don't have a very low frequency response. But it doesn't sound too bad, I'd say. It sounds even better when you plug into a stereo or something else. But like I had said previously, this thing it's not meant to compete with Bose. It's just supposed to be something you would have to get just to play your media. This is probably really going to try to appeal to construction workers, people like that are just looking to have some kind of stereo or some portable sound for them. So you're really not concerned about having Bose quality or JBL quality sound when you're trying to just hear over a buzzsaw. So, and this thing does get pretty damn loud, mind you, considering it goes up to 31 on the volume. So yeah, it's got that going for it. I think it's kind of cool. Also, just stopped right there. Plays CDs just fine. The only thing it does is that it doesn't actually tell you track titles or track names. It'll just basically give you the time. It'll tell you the track duration or the CD duration as well. That's about it. Like here, I'll play some Duran Duran. Also, the CD movement, the actual CD drive, is actually isolated. So you can see the whole thing wobbles because it's on some rubber isolators. So the whole thing can wobble around to take up the vibration if you pull it or walking around with it or something like that, so you don't have the disc skipping all the time. Which ironically is what my car stereo does a lot with CDs, even though it's supposed to be rated for highway use. Here, we'll go ahead and play this. See, it'll give you showing you that it's reading it. Then it'll come up and it'll usually tell you what track you're on as well as the length of the track, or it'll just basically start a timer in this case. The only thing I don't like the layout of the buttons. I don't like how you've got the radio tuner way the hell over here, then you've got your CD over here, and then you've got your audio over here. I don't know why they couldn't have put these buttons, like say this button over here, just so like all your selections are a lot closer. You know, like what they would do like on like a stereo receiver or something like that. So you've got all the selections right there in the same area, so you can select your source easier. But it's not. That's just kind of a small thing. So sounds pretty good, I think. Sounds all right, really. But it's not too much of a problem. I mean, what are you going to expect for something that's so small? You know, it's like I said before, it's not going to be Bose quality. But, so yeah, I think it's pretty good. If you were to get one, I'd recommend just probably shopping online for a little bit, because it's probably when you're getting the best price. I think Walmart did screw me a little bit, but, you know, what am I gonna do? It's near the holiday season, so it's not too much of a problem. But yeah, and also that standby light, I don't know if I mentioned it already, that standby light actually only is ever on when you're powered up by 120 by the cord. But when you're running off of the freaking 6 C cells that it takes, it will this will not be on at all. So basically, it'll just conserve your battery. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Comment, rate, subscribe. You don't need to do that stuff, but if you do, it helps me out a lot. And I'll see you in the next video, which will hopefully be pretty soon. Probably going to be about more cassettes and more types of audio formats and stuff. All right, bye, guys.